y'all, it's Haley, and welcome back to another episode of Teen Book Babble. Today I'm going to be talking about She Gets the Girl, written by wives Rachel Lippincott and Allison Derrick. She Gets the Girl is a fantastic sapphic rom-com. It's told from the perspective of two girls, Molly and Alex. Both are incoming freshmen at Pitt University. Alex is outgoing, headstrong, and a little bit of a flirt. She's from a small town and has been working for years to save up enough money to put herself through college while also taking care of and providing for her alcoholic and unemployed mother. On Alex's last night before she leaves for college, she gets into a fight with her girlfriend when she can't say I love you back. And her girlfriend says that Alex is incapable of commitment because of how much she flirts with others, and Alex storms out, leaving her hometown, her mom, and her now maybe girlfriend behind. On the other side is Molly, who's organized, extremely introverted, and seriously struggles to talk to anyone outside of her family. In fact, her best friend is her mom, partly because they get along great, and partly because Molly doesn't have any other friends. Her family helps her move into her new dorm and encourages her to talk to the girl she's been in love with for years, Cora. Now that they've got classes together, Molly is determined to finally talk to her. Molly's older brother, who goes to the same university and wants to help her make friends, tells her about a party later that night that's popular with new students. Even though she's an absolute nervous wreck, Molly makes her way to the party, and who does she find? Cora. Except Cora is there with another girl, who spends the night making fun of Molly for being boring. And, of course, that girl just happens to be Alex. Alex can tell that Molly's interested in Cora and comes up with a brilliant plan for both of them to get the girls of their dreams. Alex, the social butterfly, convinces Molly that she can help her not only befriend Cora, but be the type of girl that Cora wants to go out with. While Alex wants to prove to her hopefully still girlfriend that she's capable of making friends without hitting on them. This is a story about two polar opposites learning how to tolerate each other and maybe realizing that they're not so different from each other after all. I absolutely loved this. The girls are so funny in this, and they felt very, very genuine, which I think in part comes from the fact that the story is inspired from the author's actual time at college where they met. It's just a great feel-good story that's funny and delightful to read. The ending's pretty predictable, but honestly, that didn't matter to me because I had such a good time reading this book. She Gets the Girl is available in print at Fountaindale and on Libby as an ebook and e-audiobook.
Hello, my name is Ian. My pronouns are he, him. I work in the Adult and Teen Services Department here at Fountaindale, and I want to talk about a book I read this month. The book is called The Life and Medieval Times of Kit Sweetly by Jamie Pacton. Sorry, I was blocking the name a little bit there. And I very much enjoyed it. It's a little bit outside of my normal genre because typically I read fantasy or science fiction, but the medieval in the title was enough to grab my interest because of my scholarly background in medieval studies and King Arthur. So basically what this book is about is a 17-year-old girl named Kit who, along with her 19-year-old brother, works for basically a fake version of medieval times. It's set in the Chicagoland area. All of the details make it very clear that they're talking about the medieval times that we have here, which is up in Schaumburg. But because that's copyright and all that, it's not medieval times. They call it the castle, and it's a whole thing. But that forms some of the historical background for some of the things that Kit deals with in the book. Basically, it is a Shakespeare Twelfth Night retelling, which you would be familiar with because it is a common storytelling trope now. It's the one where a girl either can't accomplish or can't do something because of a gender restriction, so she takes on her brother's identity, pretends to be him, hijinks ensue, blah, blah, blah. She's the Man came out when I was in high school. I know that was years ago now, but it's the same thing. What I appreciated about this book is it's not about the secrecy of the identity that is the issue. Most of the tension in storytelling in those types of stories comes from the fact that we know that the person is not really who they're saying that they are. They're pretending, but nobody else else knows. So we're aware of it, audience is aware of it, characters aren't. In this book, she goes on and pretends to be her brother in the very beginning of the book. And at the end of the fight, where she does very well, incredibly well, she pulls her helm off and says, I'm a chick, I should be allowed to do this. Because at the time, the rules say that only cisgendered men can be knights. For the record, the knight position and the squire, because you have to be a squire before you can be a knight, it's like the assistant to the knight, can only be cisgender men. They make more money is the thing. So you've got, because they're performers, you have different hiring rules. So you're basically legally allowed to say, I will only hire men to this role, even though it's the one that makes the most money. It's to some people the most fun. You're up on the horse, you're doing tricks for the audience, all that good stuff. Kit is a serving wench. So basically she goes and serves the food and drinks and stuff. But she's just as skilled as her brother, as she shows when she kicks butt in the first joust. And I really appreciated how she talked about medieval history. A lot of the reasons that she's told that she's not allowed to be a knight are because of historical accuracy, which she points out is not a good enough reason to deny a modern person an opportunity. First, because it's not a true claim. There were female knights. We have historical evidence of it. There were non-binary knights. We have historical evidence of it. That's part of what I study is different gender representations in medieval literature. So we know that it wasn't just men that occupied this role. Sure, it was mostly men, but to say that it was only men is false and inaccurate. She also points out in the book that the state of Maryland, their national sport, or state sport, not national, is jousting. And that is true. I looked it up. It's been the state sport since 1963. Men and women compete equally. You're just divided by skill and age. And I think that's really cool. They do stuff every summer. It's a really big event. Looks like a lot of fun. If I was ever on the East Coast, I might go check it out. But what I do is I go to Renaissance fairs. In this area, the Bristol Renaissance Fair is just up north over the Wisconsin border. I go every summer. It's fun. You get to pretend to be in the Renaissance or the medieval times, and you can pick and choose which pieces of history you like. You don't have to be accurate. We can't be 100% accurate to the past. We don't have all of the information, so we do the best we can. And if you're doing it for fun and you're having fun, it shouldn't matter, in my opinion. So part of why I really liked Kit was because the focus in the book is not necessarily about false identity, but about her working hard to try to prove that she is just as worthy of her brother as doing the job and making more money and doing the fun thing that she wants to do. It's a fantastic book. There is a bit of romance in it because, of course, she's got her best friend that she's had a crush on, but because they're friends, doesn't want to say anything. Her brother's got some back and forth romance with one of the other coworkers at the castle. They have a single mom who works at a hospital that's raising them. So, there's just fun and good family moments between a brother and sister that clearly love and care about each other. Their boss is their uncle, which didn't make too much sense to the plot. But it's not a bad addition. He's not a bad guy, but he uses the, well, this is corporate policy line a lot to try to not support his niece and nephew, which seemed odd to me. But that's part of the tension of the book, right? This is realistic. The medieval times company that really exists does have that rule where they will not hire for the squire or knight positions anyone that is not a man because of historical accuracy. Never mind how inaccurate elements of the meal or the jousting or the costuming or the lighting, they pick and choose what they want to be accurate about. Kit's point was that it was unfair, and I think it's a book worth reading because it's fun, it's funny, it's interesting. She's smart, she has valid points that are realistic and accurate. She mentions historical people by name. Of course, Joan of Arc is the one that comes to mind, but there are other women she mentions. It's clear that the author knows what she's talking about too. So overall, I really enjoyed it. It's funny, it's sweet, it's heart-touching, and it had all the medieval stuff that I really liked. So definitely go check it out if that sounds like it's up your alley.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Marshall and I am a teen services specialist here at Fountaindale Public Library. And today I wanted to talk to you about the book. It's called The Marrow Thieves by Sherry DeMoline. So this book takes place in the future where global warming has ravaged the planet and people have lost the ability to dream. Since people can no longer dream, widespread chaos breaks out. However, the only people who can still dream are North American indigenous people. Because they are the only ones who can dream, they hold the cure in the marrow of their bones. But extracting the marrow from the bones means the donors will die. The main character, Frenchie, is a 15-year-old indigenous boy who lives in Canada and joins a group of indigenous people who struggle to stay alive and run away from the recruiters who wish to capture them and take their marrow. If you want to know how this book ends, I recommend checking out The Marrow Thieves by Sherry Dimmeline. So one of the reasons why I really like this book is because of its authentic representation. Specifically, the author is part of the Métis Nation, which is one of 3 groups in Canada, 3 indigenous groups in Canada, and the main character is also Métis. So I really liked the authentic representation. I also really liked it because of the unique perspective. This book specifically takes the perspective of a teenage boy. Most young adult fiction, it takes the perspective of a teenage girl. So I think that's really unique. I also really liked it because it's a specific type of science fiction. Specifically, it's called cli-fi, which basically stands for climate fiction. Basically, climate fiction is a type of science fiction that speculates about what would happen in the future if climate change and global warming took over the world. So I think it's really fascinating how it combines both real life events and combines it with fiction. I also really liked it because of the found family trope. If you didn't know what that is, basically it's when a main character cannot have a relationship with their biological family, so they find a new family through people who are not related to them. I think it's a really beautiful and really heartwarming narrative. I also really liked it because although it has really dark themes in it, it does really end on a suspenseful and really hopeful note. As a trigger warning, it does have a lot of violence in it, so if you don't like that, then I wouldn't recommend checking it out. However, if you do like it, it has an incredible sequel. It's called Hunting by Stars, which you can also find in our collection, and it's also incredible. So I really highly recommend this new and unique twist on dystopian fiction, which is super popular within the young adult category. If you want to check it out, you can find it in Libby in e-audiobook, or you can find it in our young adult fiction section in the Vortex if you would like a print copy. So I highly recommend the book. It's called The Marrow Thieves by Sherry Dimmeline. And my name is Andrea Marshall. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.